1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Good morning, guys.
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, it is the last day of Men's History Month broadcasting for us. So happy Men's History Month to you guys. And I have a kind of funny, report about the hashtag #MeToo movement. That men don't want to be hanging around the women. And this woman from The Guardian is all mad. And she's saying, maybe these men are angry that hashtag #MeToo ever happened. Well, any person who likes justice should be angry that #MeToo ever happened. We shouldn't be angry, right? Because anger is evil, right? But it was a dumb idea. By the way, yesterday I neglected to read the Ninja Genie from Jimmy DM. Shout out to D Live on Jesse Lee Peterson. DLive.tv/Jesse Lee Peterson. Jimmy DM said, Happy Men's History Month, James Hake is the man. He white. Thank you, man. That's nice. And I appreciate you guys on D Live and Mixer and YouTube. And of course, Periscope. Am I too tall? Nope. Okay, so you guys, a lot of you guys are on hold to talk to me, but I want to briefly tell you a little bit about Ilhan Omar before I get to you guys, and then I'll get to the hashtag #MeToo report, quote unquote, because there's this big funny thing. So I don't have any headline to show, but according to Drudge, Ilhan Omar demands that the UN take control of U.S. borders in a mirror of the European migrant crisis. What a nasty woman. That's Ilhan Omar, Representative Ilhan Omar, the Democrat from Minnesota. Originally from Somalia, she was a refugee, came here at like age 11 or something. Should have gone back, but never did. InfoWars reports Ilhan Omar spoke at an immigration forum in South Minneapolis, Minnesota, saying, quote, we should do what any other country does by dealing with this situation in a serious way, meaning the national emergency of illegal aliens flooding the border, pretending to be refugees. She said, quote, we have to bring the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees, an agency that has expertise and the training to handle massive flows of refugees humanely. Europe was inundated, InfoWars is saying, with migrants following lobbying from international bodies. Omar previously called for the elimination of the entire Department of Homeland Security, DHS, which was tasked with dealing with threats to the nation following 9/11. Hasn't done the greatest job, to be honest. But Omar's statements fall right in line with a 2001 UN strategy document that outlines the need to flood America and Europe with hundreds of millions of migrants to, quote, maintain population levels. Make white babies. We haven't been making white babies, so they want to bring in these immigrants and refugees, so-called. Entitled Replacement, this UN document from 2001 was entitled, according to InfoWars, Replacement Migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging populations? What is UN for? All they do is sit around and come up with stupid ideas and stupid solutions for stupid problems that they make worse. Anyways, the plan, according to how InfoWars describes it, seeks to, quote, offset population decline and population aging resulting from low fertility rates and mortality rates. But you should just make white babies and stop. Maybe we should stop paying for abortions like UN wants to do and stop paying for contraception. Anyways, it contends that mass migration to the West is needed for governments to maintain many established economic, social, and political policies and programs. I don't know. That's gobbledygook. Additionally, French President Emmanuel Macron, that's the guy that seems to like Trump, but he's liberal and he's married to this. He's like 41, married to a 66-year-old woman or something, or 63. He once championed the migration of 200 million Africans, this is according to InfoWars, into Europe over coming decades, and suggested France should simply cede control of its borders to EU, European Union, regulatory bodies. That's all according to InfoWars. No wonder Britain wants to, at Brexit, the Great Britain wants to exit out of the EU, the UK, I mean. Crazy, huh? So I just wanted to report about this woman of color, girl power, who wants to turn America into Europe, which Europe is no longer Europe. Europe is becoming Africa and Muslim, basically, and kissing up to the gays, too. No longer Christian, no longer European, no longer white, no longer free. They don't have freedom of speech. They have hate speech laws and all kinds of madness over there. And Ilhan Omar wants the same thing here. She came here, and now she's trying to bring more of her people here. What a mess. Anyways, let me get to some callers. Mikeal. Am I pronouncing your name right? Out of Florida, first-time caller?
Mikeal.
Mikeal. Hey, nice to hear from you.
Hey, I appreciate your show. You're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I noticed as the shows go on, I noticed that you're building up a lot more confidence in doing it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Cool, man. Thank you. It's Men's History Month. Might as well turn into a somewhat of a man.
Oh, yeah. You got to.
Yeah. You wanted a question? You had a question?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
My question was, does your beard give you power?
I think it might. I don't know what power. Maybe it's the power to hide my beta face.
The baby
I've seen baby face, right? I've seen. I saw where I got that from was I saw this meme from like the alt-righters, a mean meme, right? Where it refers to beta males, usually liberals, right, who grow out a beard to hide their chubby cheeks, their chubby chin, and so since then I've been like self-conscious and not wanting to shave my beard off, but I haven't really wanted to shave it off anyways. It's handy to have.
Oh yeah, and then the ladies love the beards too.
Some of them do, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to answer me.
Yeah, thank you. How do you say it again? Mikeal.
Mikeal.
All right. Appreciate it, man. I've heard you on Jesse's show, too. Thank you, man. Take care.
Oh, yeah. You too. Bye.
Bye. Jackson has been on hold out of Florida for some time. Appreciate you holding, Jackson. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to answer Jesse's biblical question.
All right. Yeah, I like this biblical question. It's why do whites help their enemies destroy them?
Okay. Here's what I think. You believe in Bible prophecy, biblical prophecy?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if any of it is relevant to today, depending on what you're referring to. But yeah, go for it.
Okay, here's what I'm seeing. You know how the Bible says the first shall be last and the last shall be first?
Yeah.
Now what's happening is we all know, throughout history that European colonized like half of the world. And they forced themselves to be first class citizens.
Uh-huh.
So that's why, everywhere you go throughout the world, white get, used to get praised because it was forced because, white people, they created, these weapons. They weaponized, themselves.
All right.
Make them, they forced themselves.
Guns and stuff? You're referring to guns?
Guns and, of course,
All right.
Because the rest of the world didn't have that power. But white people created that and able to conquer the world with it.
Dang.
So So within that, they made themselves become first class, throughout the world. So now, with the prophecy that says the first shall be last and the last shall be first, so what's happening is because can't nobody fight the European physically because the European holds the biggest weapon. So now, in order for the European to step down to the power, they only can do it to themselves, and that's what's happening. So
you're not far off in that. I don't know what the first shall be last and the last shall be first, how that applies, but there's definitely the older white people, over the generations and maybe even hundreds of years, they created Western civilization, which everybody benefited from. But under Western civilization, people got... Hold on, let me finish this part.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Under Western civilization, people got spoiled, including whites. And under that spoiling, people began to complain because spoiled people tend to complain. And that includes the people of color within the Western civilization. And so they began to complain about the whites, who were the least of the offenders. What they were accusing whites of doing was what they themselves were doing. But the whites, because they were spoiled too, didn't really care, didn't really speak about the truth, and they kind of rested on being spoiled. And so the kids began to feel sorry for the people of color, believing the lies that the people of color were repeating about the whites. And so the whites today are so spoiled and believing the lies of the people of color and of the fellow whites, because the whites are liars too, many of them, half of them. And so maybe more than half, to be honest. Most human beings, period, are evil, even though they're nice. Even though most human beings are also nice, and niceness is pushed. It's a false example. It's a false imitation of love. And so today, everybody is basically spoiled. And so in that sense, you could say, because of the greatness that whites created in the past, whites today are spoiled and just losing their, losing it.
By saying greatness, you mean that in a good way or a bad way?
I mean it in every way, both good and bad, because you could say because of the greatness that whites created, the guns are a great thing that whites created, right? And that has been used for good and evil over time. But the gun will only, if it were created to protect oneself, it would have been okay. But the whites didn't create it to protect themselves. They created to go and conquer. How do you know
That's
that?
what you got to understand.
How do you know that?
How do I know? Well, because
you'll notice.
Can I say something, please?
Okay, yeah.
Because everyone had their army. However, they had their army to protect themselves. Of course, they was fighting among each other. However, the Europeans went all the way on the other side and stick their nose into people's business. Now, here's the thing.
That's not necessarily true, man.
No, let me finish.
But you said they stuck their nose into other people's business.
I'm gonna explain to you why. I'll explain to you how.
Go for it.
Hear me out. Here's the thing, right? Now, we always say that, the Arabs, the Africans were selling each other, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it make white people less guilty for participating in it? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but who cares about the slavery thing? You don't really care about slavery, do you?
Forget about I ain't talking about forget about slavery.
But you brought up the slave trade, and you brought up guilty.
No, I didn't bring in slave trade. I say white people went to colonize half of the world.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And it's the reason why, if you go to like half of Africa, which is one of the biggest continents, speak English. You understand? And there's a reason why. It's not coincidence.
Right. Because America speaks English.
And you have because Great Britain, which is the mother of America, which is still fall under white category. You understand? See, you gotta understand the white
But
race, it
look,
don't matter
but
if
look, Jackson. What you're missing is that the white people in America fought against the colonialization or the governance of the fellow white people and got out from under Britain. They got away from Britain.
What happened?
Did you notice that? So the white people are broke free and became independent.
But they still practice that same ideology.
Not really. I don't know. You can say that. You can say that. I don't know, but I don't know or care. I don't know or care about that part. You could say that because there has been a lot of meddling overseas and stuff like that. Who knows who's really pushing that? I don't know. But I know that Trump is not for that so much.
James, your name is right.
Yes.
James Hake, right?
Correct.
Mr. Hake, check this out, man.
I gotta go, man. We've been on.
But let me make just one quick thing.
All right, last point, real fast.
Last point with the first going to be last and the last shall be first.
Yeah.
What that means is, like I say, throughout the world, European has been they put themselves as the first among every other race, and they are the first. And then Charlie is gonna reverse on them.
I think you've put white people the first. Whites didn't really do that.
How is it coincidence that everywhere you go throughout the world, or even in America, look at the world, America, is it coincidence that
that's because everybody. That's because everybody agreed that America was the greatest. You laugh, but what? But if they didn't agree, then why do they speak English?
Okay, like I say, colonizing.
You can say colonizing, but that was Britain. That wasn't America.
Listen, man, Britain is America's.
I gotta go, man. I think that you're. I think I encourage you. I encourage you. Hey, last real quick point. I encourage you to read that Bible in more of a spiritual sense as opposed to the physical stuff.
Oh, the Bible is a book of history. It's not a book of spiritual religion.
All right. Well, the last shall be first is referring to the kingdom of heaven. It's not referring to white people being destroyed.
No, heaven is displayed on earth. Heaven is not no spiritual thing. Heaven
all right, but that's hell. I'm telling you, Jackson. I'll make this last point.
Right now,
white people's Jackson. White people declining means hell for white people and for you. All right?
No, remember.
Yes, it does.
White man heaven.
I gotta go, man.
Everyone else is hell.
I gotta go.
That's what heaven and hell do.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hell for you the worse white people get.
No.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, because you hating white people and you being happy that white people are declining is not going to be good for you.
I just thought a reality that's going to happen.
I know it's reality. I know it's. There's a lot of reality to it. All right, take care.
How you going to, man?
Take care. You can call me Sunday. You can call me Sunday, but I've been on with you too long. Take care.
Yeah, man. I ain't call with no hatred. I just call with some.
No. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. I think it is hatred, but you may not think so. That's fine. Take care.
All right, bro.
All right. Bye. Let's see. Speaking of hatred, Earl out of Michigan. Thanks for holding. Earl, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
You call me Baby Hitler?
Of course.
Oh, the blacks think I'm Baby Hitler and Nazi sympathizer and stuff.
Yeah, well, you do. You think you're superior.
Huh? I don't even know what Hitler was really about. I have never read Mein Kampf.
Say what?
I said I don't even know what Hitler was really about. How would you call me Baby Hitler?
You don't have to know what it's about to have the same beliefs and
you don't know what his beliefs were. You weren't even born.
You don't know when I was born, do you?
You're younger than Jesse.
How you know that?
You said it one time?
No, I didn't. You just lied.
All right.
Just making stuff up.
Yeah, you made stuff up by calling me Baby Hitler and saying I believe the same stuff he was about.
You made things that you said I was scared to talk to you.
Oh, yeah, so I made that up, too.
We can go tit for tat.
But you called me Baby Hitler, that means you're scared. Because Hitler is like, that's a scare tactic to call somebody Baby Hitler.
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
If you can't take it, then shut up.
No, I can take it. You can't take it.
Well then, by the way,
Why are you so immature?
why you such a little white wing racist? Looking at,
See?
but
Anyways, go for it.
it's a good thing that finally they came to a conclusion and fired the policeman. That it took 5 years. Could have just taken 2 days.
You're referring to Eric
Okay.
Garner, the guy who was who had a heart attack after resisting arrest and getting in that so-called chokehold from Officer Pantaleo. Pantaleo was finally, according to Earl, he was fired. Unfortunately, at the advice of that Hispanic woman of color who served previously on a so-called civil rights or human rights commission for the city of New York. What a mess. No,
Not really.
he shouldn't have been fired for that. That's ridiculous. That's just kissing up to the bullies, the evil people.
No, he-
as kissing up to
he
Black Lives
disobeyed.
Matter and the Women's March. The Women's March don't care.
disobeyed.
Hold on, Earl. Tell me. The women's agree with me or disagree. The Women's March does not care about black people. They're for abortion. So
What does
this
that mean?
Tamika Mallory from the Women's March, who loves Louis Farrakhan, hates black people, and hates black people because they encourage black people to hate, right? And then that other woman, Linda Sauersur, who is also the co-founder of the Women's March, I think, Muslim woman, hates black people, kisses up to the evil. The Women's March is all about Planned Parenthood and pro-abortion and hatred of Trump. They hate men, and they hate black people, and they hate babies. You can't get more evil than that. And they hate white people, of course. But that goes without saying since they're liberal.
That's because of your bias, white wing leanings.
Oh,
You're gonna say anything that you
are you
disagree with.
pretending? Are you pretending that Women's March cares about black people?
What that Women's March got to do with anything?
Because the women's marchers were the ones who disrupted the Democrat presidential debate to tell the mayor, Bill de Blasio, to fire Officer Pantaleo, and that was just last month. And then a month later, less than a month later, they fired Officer Pantaleo. That's politics, man.
What?
And then you know who
Well,
else was involved in that protest? They got kicked out of the Democrat debate because they were so disruptive. You know who else was there? A guy who works for Al Sharpton's National Action Network.
You know, it took
What a bunch of
5 years.
cowards. They hate the cops.
5 years.
That's ugly. They hate black
5
people.
long,
5
stupid
years.
years.
You don't care about black people. You know what, Earl? You don't care about black people. You're a fake. You know why I say
shut
that?
up with
I'll
your
tell
nonsense.
you why. I'll tell you why I say that. Because Eric Garner, he resisted arrest. That's why he got himself killed.
Well-
But you don't care about that because you never bring that part up.
Well,
And
we
more
know
and more
one
black people are continuing to resist arrest. And you never bring
James,
that up. You don't care about
James,
black people
James,
resisting arrest, getting themselves killed.
James, when you get off your soapbox,
Yes.
we know one thing: you don't care about black folks.
So what?
No, we
I don't
don't
have to
make-
care about them. You're the one pretending to care. What a
You don't
coward.
have to.
You're
you
fake.
Don't have, you
What a
think you love
fake.
everybody.
You're the
big
one
liar.
calling me baby
You're
Hitler,
big liar.
and meanwhile you're kissing up
You're
to
big liar.
you're kissing up to the worst
You
in
don't-
black
you
people.
don't care about nobody.
Whatever.
You just a-
I don't have to
you
care
just
about
a-
nobody.
you just
I'm not
a
the one
puppet of,
pretending. I'm not the
Jesse
one
that-
calling me baby
that-
Hitler.
You are. You're worse than that. You a stupid baby Hitler.
Speaking of
But,
mature.
Another thing.
Hey,
talk about
let me
South Africa.
let me ask you one thing, Earl. Was Eric
by the
Garner?
way-
Well, let me ask you one thing. Was Eric Garner wrong for resisting arrest?
No, he wasn't wrong.
See, you don't care about black people.
No,
you
that's
like
your
it when
opinion.
black people get killed. That way you can hate white people.
And
the
your
cops.
stupid rationalization that they had a right to choke him and throw him to the ground when he said 11 times he couldn't breathe. They wouldn't let up. I guess that
He
was
did let
okay.
up. They
When the coroner-
let up
when
and
the
they took him
coroner
to the
said-
hospital.
When the coroner said, "If you let me talk, boy," when the coroner said,
You call me boy.
that it
High
was
five.
it was a homicide
Homicide.
because of the evidence.
Yeah, it's a homicide.
No.
Homicide is not murder.
that
Homicide
it
is
was
not murder.
inflicted by the pressure to the neck.
He died of a heart attack.
That's why he was fired, because he violated police policy.
He maintains
Now,
that
you
he did
wanna
a
make
seatbelt
excuses.
hold. He did a
You wanna
seatbelt
make
hold on him, Earl.
excuses.
So you're making excuses, total excuses for the
Stop
black guy.
whining and shut up.
You shut
You don't
up.
know what you're talking about.
This is my show,
I know it is, little boy.
boy.
But
You're the boy.
you know, you said South Africa was there was nobody in South Africa.
Not in Cape
and
Town. Not in Cape Town.
They were all over.
According to Lauren Southern's documentary, and she's a real journalist. When the whites arrived in Cape Town from, I believe, Holland or Dutch or something. They're Dutch, Holland, right? And so they arrived in Cape Town, and there were no blacks in Cape Town for they didn't even run into black people for like 100 years, I heard. And then they were making deals with them. They weren't conquering them. They were making deals, buying up land, making trades. And then finally, after a while, I think maybe 100 years later, they had conflict, actual fights. And then and then in a fight, the winner wins and the loser loses. Maybe they both lose.
You want to know the real history? The real history was.
And you know what else? No. Let me finish one more thing. I'll let you. Hey, hold on. Earl, hold on. I'll let you tell the real history. But I'm just going to make one more point about the present day South Africa. All those blacks who are in South Africa attacking the white people, none of those are the native blacks who were native to that area. The native blacks are the Khoi and whatever else. But the blacks who were...
The Zulu,
I don't know, whatever. Yeah. So those blacks who are in there, they're just communists. They hate white people. Anyways.
But let me tell you.
All right.
The real history was that when they were there long before the white man, the Dutch landed there. In fact, when the Dutch landed there, they were stranded. It was the local people that saved their lives by bringing them fresh water and fish for a month till a rescue came back and rescued them.
Nice.
So I don't know what you've been told.
Nice.
But your rendition of history.
No, it wasn't my invention. I gave my source. I said Lauren Southern's documentary, Farmlands.
Yeah, well, you can go by Lawrence or whoever, but you forget, in 1601, they landed there and were stranded.
That's cool, man. Thank you for the info. I'll look into that maybe. Appreciate it.
One more thing.
All right, but those blacks aren't the commies. Those don't sound like they're the commie blacks that hate white people today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because South Africa is turning communist. South Africa is communist now.
You claim they run around hating white folks.
They do hate white people.
Just because they tell...
They don't. It's not just because they tell. There's a whole lot of crime against white people. Crimes
like
against
you
humanity.
Do black folks. Now, if blacks hate white folks, you must hate black folks. The way you talk about them.
I'm not talking about talking. I'm not just talking about talk. I'm talking about communism, which is anti-white, and then I'm also talking about actual crimes against humanity, Earl. That's not just talk. I gotta go, man. I'll talk to you later.
Well, one more thing.
Call me Sunday with the one more thing. All right, shout out.
Okay, one more shout out to SnowGoose, a white wing, nobody that never amount to anything. But one thing he's so aptly named is that if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. And we know one thing, he's definitely a quack.
All right, cool. Thank you. Happy Men's Happy Man. Do that again. Do that one more time. Quack like a duck, Earl. I was interrupting him. I was going to try to get a drop. Anyways, Earl, take care. Happy Men's History Month. Ryan, out of Concord, California. How are you?
All is well, James. How you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
Awesome. I wanted to respond to the biblical question.
Okay, cool. Why do white people help their enemies destroy them?
Did you hear my answer to Jesse earlier this morning.
I heard
Did
you
catch that?
talking, and I heard you were making good points, but I don't remember it, and I don't know if I caught everything.
I guess my point was we had, as white people, knowledge of so many parts of the world that we're rejecting to study our own history and culture. I told Jesse about a class I took where I had a white professor, and the class I took was a non-Western course because I'm a history major.
Yep.
So I had to take a non-Western. So I took a class of India, and the white professor brought in a group of Indian Hindu chanters who were chanting to the gods Krishna and Vishnu and all those gods.
Uh-huh.
But as the people started walking in, they were part of the Hindu, like some sort of Hindu organization in Sacramento, because that's where I went to college, but they were all white. And the guy who was playing the guitar was white, and the singers, the women were white, but they were all dressed like hippies. And they were singing all these like weird chants, and they were closing their eyes, and they looked like they were in some weird meditation. I'm just like kind of stunned because where did white people go wrong in that we have to do other cultures, religions, and practices that we are so foreign to because our culture is Judeo-white, Judeo-Christian, and Greco-Roman culture, you know, Western civilization. So I guess my point to Jesse was like, if you go to the British Museum, the History Museum in Britain, there's entire sections of all other cultures around the world. There's a section for Africa. There's a section for the Middle East. There's a section for China and India. And we have all their artifacts. But if you go to China or India or Africa, they don't have museums of white people artifacts. So it was just like me telling Jesse from my historical perspective and just from what I've learned in college and just my experience that we're so obsessed with all these other cultures other than our own, I guess was my answer to his biblical question.
Yeah, and there's a word for that the many people like to use, edgier people. They call them cucks because it's like, I don't know why many whites do this. I've seen others do it too, but they turn into like another culture, like they're running away from their parents or something. And they just, it's something about like they're humiliating themselves. And I don't know how other cultures can stand to look at whites who do that. But it's, whites are just making fools of themselves, culturally appropriating. But in order to so-called honor the culture. And it's disgusting. You see it with the Buddhists. Oh, there's a whole lot of white Buddhists, right? And it's gross. It's awful. But you're right. We're the only countries that are having a whole lot of diversity. And the excuse from the UN, according to InfoWars, is that we need all these immigrants to come in here to replace the white babies that are not being born. It's such a shame.
Yeah. And earlier Jackson called and was saying something about how whites, in a sense, for lack of a better term, conquered the world. And I do agree because, you know, but it wasn't all whites. It wasn't Slavic people. It wasn't Macedonians or Greeks or Italians or even Germans for that matter. It was British and French people.
And Spanish.
And the British, Spain had it, but their colonies were small. They were really tiny. For example, British basically had the entire country of India. But yeah, I guess the Spanish did too. But I guess my point is it's not all white people. It's only just a select few countries.
Right. I mean, it was Britain. Britain had Hong Kong and some of these other countries. But I don't know, like south of the border, the Spanish seemed to be very much into the interracial thing because Mexicans are not the original Indians down from that area. Some of them are, but they all speak Spanish. And most of the Mexicans are a mix of Spaniard and Aztec or whatever kind of Indian that they were south of the border. And
A lot
all
of the
those
Spanish
other
had
countries
missions.
speak either Spanish or Portuguese south of the border. That's a
Right,
huge.
that is true.
That's a huge area, and you don't hear them complaining about the Spanish because they intermixed with them and all that madness. But
Well, the Spanish had colony, or they had what do they call them? They had missions.
conquistadors.
Right? So they had their missions were
And
like
conquerors.
centers. Yes, they did. But I guess what I'm saying is they a lot of the Spanish mated with the Native American women,
Right.
and didn't do a so-called slaughter that Jacksonian Democrats or other white people did in America. But
Yeah.
I wanted to make one more point about Jackson. He
Andrew
called
Jackson?
earlier.
Oh, okay,
No.
Jackson.
The
The
caller
black,
from earlier,
the black
yeah.
collar. Yeah.
Yeah, he also really needs to go read his history, especially for he was making an argument that the white people were more powerful physically because they had the firearms, which was true in the areas that white people were going. But let's not forget, in the 13th century, a European explorer named Marco Polo went on the Old Silk Road, the ancient road from Rome to China. And he went there, and when he went to China, he saw that they had things that anybody else in the world didn't have, even Europeans. And so he brought that back. And what those two things were, the two main things were block printing, paper printing, and then gunpowder. And when the Middle East found out that he also brought this gunpowder back because the Silk Road went through parts of the Middle East, the Ottoman Turks picked that up. And they actually, in fact, sieged the Byzantine Empire with those siege weapons. Those weapons were called Dardanelles. You can look them up. A Dardanella was an extremely large cannon. It was iron cast, and it was actually the very weapon used for the destruction and downfall of Constantinople, shooting just massive, huge blasts of gunpowder. But then the Ottomans used this to conquer all of Byzantine, the Balkans, North Africa, Egypt, all the Middle East. So to say that white people were the only people with the superior weapons is a fallacy, because throughout history there's so many people with superior weapons. Yep. And that's why the Ottomans were so huge. The empire was so big because their weapons were just blowing up all these castles and towns, and nobody can compete with them except for the Western Europeans. But yeah, that's a huge reason why Constantinople and most of the Middle East and world fell was because of those giant weapons. So for Jackson to say that, the white man had the guns and that's why they conquered is just a false statement.
Yep. Appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you for the men's history.
Definitely appreciate that. You're welcome, bro.
All right, take care.
Have a good one.
Let me see. I'm going to get back to calls. Hang tight, guys. I just want to briefly touch on this. Hashtag #MeToo madness. Drudge reports Me Too backlash, and I do have this headline from The Guardian. The U.S. Vice President, according to Arwa Madawi, this woman that's pictured in this article title, men now avoid women at work, another sign we're being punished for hashtag #MeToo. And it's written by an activist named Arwa Madawi. I call her an activist because of the tone of her article. I've never seen her before. But she says that men seem to be following the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence's rule not to be alone with a woman who is not his wife, because then they can't accuse them falsely. So, according to a new study due to be published in the journal Organizational Dynamics, has found that following the hashtag #MeToo movement, men are significantly more reluctant to interact with their female colleagues. The female colleagues should go make white babies, but not abort them, and be married. A few highlights from the research include 27% of men avoid one-on-one meetings with female coworkers. Madawi writes, "Yep, that's right. Almost a third of men are terrified to be alone in a room with a woman." And she's like mocking. She doesn't understand. Or she understands, but she's a snake. 21% of men said that they would be reluctant to hire women for a job that would require close interaction, such as business travel. Makes sense. 19% of men would be reluctant to hire an attractive woman. This female writer says that depressingly, things have appeared to get worse. Back in 2018, it was just 15% of men say that they would be reluctant to hire women for jobs that require close personal interactions with women. 15% versus 21% in 2019. So it's increased even more so since the Me Too movement. She says women also appear to be increasingly wary of hiring women. The 2018 survey results found that more than 10% of men and women said that they expected to be less willing. They would be less willing than before to hire attractive women. Note the 2019 results for the women haven't come out yet. This female calls it internalized misogyny, and she cusses about it. Very ladylike. But, I mean, it's just disgusting. And all these women complaining, it's just like the blacks who have a tough time getting hired because they tend to complain and cry racism and sue and stuff like that. The stereotype is that whites sue. These blacks and others are suing. This woman calls it misogyny. Who would want to hire a woman like this? I'm surprised that The Guardian is hiring her. Maybe they didn't hire her. Maybe they just published her article so that they look like they're not hating women. But they didn't hire her. I don't know. But who wants to be around women like that? And now, like, men are brainwashed. It's been even before the Me Too movement. Men have been brainwashed and traumatized to make themselves look like they're not a rapist or a child predator or something like that because of all the stereotypes. It's just like white people who try to make themselves look like they're not racist around blacks. You've been traumatizing men and whites so much that they become a head case about how to act around other people. What a mess. It's a shame. But that's what they like. They like it like that. Chris from Costa Rica, first-time caller. How are you?
Hey, good. And you? How you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Hi. James, I wanted to touch on a few things, if hopefully if I have time.
Go for it.
To answer that question, the biblical question.
Uh-huh.
I feel that the reason is that whites just don't love their enemies, and if you love your enemy, then you won't let them do all this foolishness and all this stupidity.
Yeah.
When you love someone, you stop them dead in your tracks. And I think that's the reason why whites are allowing their enemies to stomp all over them, and they're helping them, in fact, because they just don't love them. And so they're like that whole verse about being of the world or part of it, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to be part of it as opposed to going against it. And once you go against it, you love it. You love, when you go with it, you don't. You have no love. So I think, and like I heard you with Earl, and he doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand because he's never got he's never had a white person stand up against him. And you totally love him, but he doesn't get that at all. He just sees it as hatred because everyone else, every other white man that he's spoken to has agreed with him because they want to be seen as favorable and they want to seem as they have a black friend or something like that. And you don't care. You love him, so you're telling him the truth. And he's not seeing that. And that's what's happening to white people right now is that there is no love. They don't love their enemies. Because if they did, they wouldn't put up with this garbage. They're getting trampled, and they see it.
You know, that's a good point. The alt-right, many of the Jew blamers, they think that it's propaganda that has been forced on them, this love your enemy thing, because they don't know what love is either. So they think love is what white people have been doing, which is rolling over and let people walk all over them. But that's not what love is. So then they've turned the opposite extreme of they hate just like their parents hated by their parents. Exactly. Their parents kissed up, but now they just, attack constantly out of hatred. And so, but they're both hate. They don't realize that love is something totally different. You're right.
Yeah, it's the same exact side of the coin. It's just a different degree of hate, but it's still hate. It's like it's like in darkness, but being further in the corner in the closet of darkness. You're still in darkness.
Yeah.
You either love or you hate. And there is no love. There's absolutely no love because people are so accustomed to everyone agreeing with them. And once you agree with them, then they feel. And that's what everyone goes by. They feel that you love them. But deep down inside, they have no respect for that person. And that's one of the things I love about Jeff. He does it with all of you guys. And
Yeah.
especially does it with Joel.
He roasts Joel.
Yeah. Anytime you guys say anything that's not right, he immediately gets on you guys because he loves you guys.
Yeah.
And you do it as well, especially with the black callers and with the white callers, but you do it more so, and you do it in a way that they've never encountered, which is you just stand firm like a roadblock. Whites aren't doing that right now. They're just being they're bending over for everyone, and they think that that's going to help. But now they're in this predicament, and this predicament that they're in is almost like self-deserved, and they really do deserve it because they haven't lived up to what they're supposed to do and what they've been doing for generations and generations. I've called Jesse before, and I said I used to hate white men. Because I went to college and they indoctrinate you and all this other garbage.
Yeah.
And now that I'm listening to him and actually reading up on it, I'm like, wait a second, if it wasn't for white men, we would not be where we're at right now. We would be in a complete dystopia, even though we're getting close to that. But men are finally standing up and realizing, we're the only ones that can do something about it because no one else is doing anything about it.
That's
Jesse's a proponent.
That's why I warned Jackson that white people on the decline means hell for everyone. Because
it does.
Yeah, because whites tend to be more for actual fairness and justice and freedom. Anyways, Chris, man, I gotta go. Can I call me back on Sunday? I hope to continue talking with you. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Hey, big ups to all the people on YouTube, man.
All right, yeah, definitely. Appreciate you, YouTube guys.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care, brother. Bye now.
You too. Daniel out of the Bay Area, California. Daniel, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Going fine, thank you.
Hey, I was there with my kids, with you guys.
Oh,
Great.
nice. Hey, that was nice to meet you, man. He was up at the Straight Pride Parade. That's cool.
Yeah, I wish I could have stood with you guys, but Antifa was threatening me and my kids.
Yeah.
So it's like I couldn't stay much longer, but I would have stayed and fought with you guys.
I'll tell you, man, it was heartwarming to see your white babies, though. Even though you couldn't stay long, I definitely understand that. That was wise of you to get out of that situation. But it was good that it was very nice to see a young man with white babies and showing up and standing for what's right. That's cool.
Right. Yeah. And, I wasn't going to pass up a moment to meet you guys.
Yeah.
So I just came there. I thought there was going to be a parade. That's why I brought the kids. But I was like, there's not going to be a parade. At least I can come meet you guys.
Just a protest.
I wanted to talk to you guys. You ever heard of this lady running for presidency, Marianne Williamson?
Yes. I know a little bit about her.
So you've ever heard of Course of Miracles?
Yeah. I've only heard that title.
Yeah. So when I met my baby mama, she studied that. She got pushed on it. She had it pushed on her from a coworker.
Wow.
But basically, what it is, it's Luciferianism. And I don't know if you know Luciferianism. Basically, Luciferianism is that God was the oppressor in the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
And the serpent, Satan, was actually trying to free them by telling them to eat the fruit.
Basically,
that's
feminism.
What Luciferianism is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because as well as talk about Antifa and being fascist and all that. Well, you have to keep in mind, and this is just my opinion. So you have to keep in mind that communism. They claim to be communist, right? So if you're not communist,
Antifa,
and you stand for America's a Christian nation, all right?
Yeah.
And Western civilization was built by Europeans, predominantly white, even Spanish conquistadors. Spanish people are, of white complexion. So it's like this whole identity politics in hating white people is basically just the hate of Western society, because Christianity found its place in Western society. And if you tie it all together, when they say, "Oh, you're a fascist," it's because you're just not a communist,
right?
And you stand for ideals, and we can't use words like fascism or talk about Hitler and some of that. Why did all the people vote for Hitler? Why did all those people? Some people chalk it up to like, oh, they're brainwashed. It's like there's a reason why people voted for Hitler.
Yeah.
Maybe we can't find that history because it's so buried. But
right.
Because I read his book, man, and what he says in there about the Jews is basically, he says, the Jewish nature is basically communist in general, but they go about in a greedy fashion. They're on top of everything, basically trying to bleed everybody, and they're the ones that are, they're the man behind the curtain kind of thing. That's why a lot of people are if they feel like the white race, the Caucasian race, the white man, these alt-right people, they feel like they're being attacked directly by the Jew because they're Christians, and Jews don't like Christianity, and Christianity is Western. And it's like they're trying to dismantle Western society, man. That's what I got it kind of chalked up to. I'm up for discussion. I'm always trying to learn things, man.
Yeah.
But it's all just a hate of America, man. It's a hate of freedom.
But it's also, man, I think that what it also is, and this is something that afflicts everybody, but the left tend to be in control currently, is that they'll look at you. People are looking at the evil outside of them, or they're judging people outside of them and not looking at themselves. The Antifa, they're not looking at themselves. And then some of the Jew blamers, let's say, are looking at the evil that's coming out of the communists, and they're not looking at the evil within. Some of them are trying, and some of them are waking up. Right. And then some of the liberals are waking up too. But
I greatly appreciate what you guys do, man. Cause,
yeah.
I read a book called The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt, I think his name is.
Okay.
And and he's liberal,
Yeah.
But, dude, he touched on the same thing Jesse's talking about. It's like, dude, they are going after our kids, man.
Yep.
If you control the children, you control the future. And it's like, I keep telling people, take your kids out of public school. Most kids that are homeschooled graduate, like, I think on record, there's a kid graduated by the age of 13 and ready to go to college,
Yep.
It's like, what does that say? Like, if you look back, like, back in the day during, like, the 1700s, a first grade book, they were writing out sentences and learning how to write in cursive.
That
and,
is
all this
so
stuff.
true.
Like,
yeah.
Right. We're 100% suppressed, man. People need to wake up.
When I first started coming to church, at one point, Jesse talked about how we are dummies compared to those founders back then, and that is true. But people are so
Benjamin
spoiled
Franklin
and self-righteous, thinking that people are so spoiled and self-righteous and thinking that they're better than the founders were, no better and everything else. But it's a mess.
It's crazy.
I appreciate it, Daniel.
Driving down the road. What's up?
I said I appreciate it. Thank you for the men's history.
Oh yeah, happy Men's History Month, man. One more quick thing. I think why white people help their enemies is because they have fallen for the lie, man. Just like Jesse says, if people just they don't complicate things. It's always choose love. That's why Jesus said that, man. You can't beat hate with more hate. You have to take the moral high ground.
Yeah.
Get some humility in your life.
Yeah.
It's really simple, man. We humans tend to complicate things, But,
totally.
I'm not apologizing for nothing, man. I'm happy to be white. I love my family. I love my nation, and I love my gun. But no one's gonna take nothing from me. So they can come and bring it, but we ain't losing it without a fight, dude.
Appreciate it, Daniel. Take care, man.
Appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you. God bless.
All right. Stewart out of Massachusetts. Stewart, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good today.
Cool.
First, can I answer the question real quick on
Yeah.
on why I think white people?
Yes,
okay,
please.
we all know the question by now, right?
Yep.
I think it's like people are saying, but there's a little more to it, and there's evidence of this. There's a woman named Charlotte Iserby that used to interview with Alex Jones. She actually left the country, but she talks about how they single out the males that are dominant males, leader types,
Like Trump?
and they treat them with authoritarianism. So it's more than just brainwashing. They really beat you down, and you can't stand up. All the upward rungs of mobility are through the schools,
Yeah.
which are controlled by, people want to say liberal, but I'm just going to say evil people, because I believe the right-wing people, and I believe the conservatives aren't real conservatives
Right.
a lot of the time. So my point is they browbeat the leader-type males that are smart and raise their hand a lot. First off, they hit them with fluoride. You can go read that, read the Harvard research on that to reduce their IQ. The rich people are doing this, really, the rich evil people. And then, so they also say things like it doesn't matter who started it in a fight, when all that matters is who started it. And
Yeah.
nobody's right and nobody's wrong. That's all authoritarianism. Here's more.
Wow.
One person did something wrong, so nobody can do this anymore. We're taking away all your privilege. You understand?
Yep.
That's so read up on that type of stuff. And Charlotte Iserby is the one who brought a lot of that forward, how they single out the leadership males and they ruin their lives. They don't just brainwash them. They teach them, no, you don't stand up. You don't stand up. And if you really have a problem, and they'll drug you, you'll end up in juvie. They trust me, they got it all worked out from like every angle.
That's an interesting point, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the schools are not meant for boys anymore. I don't know if they ever were. Appreciate it, Stewart.
Another issue is I really like the show, so I don't have a lot of time. I'm stealing from my employer right now. I just want to make this point instead of arguing, going in a big circle with you.
Okay, go for it.
As far as my understanding is from all of my research, the police shouldn't even be talking to an American unless there is incredible evidence that they've done something really wrong, including hurt somebody, damaged their property, killed somebody, or defrauded somebody. Like, basically, unless a pretty serious crime has been committed, police shouldn't even be interacting with people. That's one of the big problems we have, and I don't want to get into it, but we're not in the law that our founders that we were just talking about, who are so smart, had, which was natural law. It's like, unless you and also they just want to throw everybody in jail nowadays, which really doesn't help people. In the old days, they made you pay. They didn't just stick you in a jail. They made you pay. Your family was supposed to keep your degenerate members in line. And if one of your degenerate family members wronged somebody, they made them pay the victim, not just go to jail. And then if the guy ran off, then they made the family pay. And then that guy was an outlaw, meaning he was outside the law. He had no protection.
Wow.
And this is the way we used to do things. And the problem is we're just caught up in this big mess now, and I feel like we need to we need to regress and get rid of all these laws and acts and registration or bylaws and I'm talking
I got you, Stewart. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Right.
Happy Men's History Month to you.
You too, man. Happy Men's History.
All right. Brad out of Texas. Brad, before you talk, Jimmy DM says Happy Men's History Month. September should be Standing Up History Month. Honor who stood up for good. And he says, James, you should expand your 2 hours on Fridays. Oh, interesting idea. Brad, how are you? Do it.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
What's up, SnowGoose?
Hey, SnowGoose. Earl called you out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say bless his heart, man, and I forgive him. I can't even understand him half the time, and when I do understand him, it's like, what are you talking about? He's like a revisionist historian.
Yep.
He doesn't know anything, but I forgive him. And I love him. So shout out back to you, Earl. Don't hate me because I'm white.
Right on, Brad. Right on, SnowGoose. Take care, man.
Just because I disagree with you, Earl, don't mean I hate you.
Happy Men's History Month, Brad. Take care.
Happy Men's History Month. All right.
All right, guys. See you Sunday for the Hake Report, 9 a.m. on my channels. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson on Bond, Building the Man on YouTube and other platforms. And, of course, today at noon Pacific time, the Fallen State episode premieres. Check it out. It's the Obama wannabe. Oh, my gosh. It's going to be funny, I think. Take care.